Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Elevate Your Life podcast. We are doing podcast number 180 today. The notes are at elevateyourlife.com. And if you're already on our email list, the email is already in your possession with all the notes. So you can follow along there. And we are talking today, Cheryl, about, well, we're continuing our conversation about the 5 pillars of physical health.
Yeah, I love that. 5 pillars.
It's been quite a journey already. So we talked about water back on podcast 177. If you missed that, you got to go back and listen to that. Super important. And we talked about food being the second pillar. Super important to get that right. Actually, if you don't get that right, then it's not even necessary to listen to this podcast today because you don't eat right. And this is a big thing, though, because people, they exercise all the time. I go to the gym, I see people exercising, and they look the same all the time because they don't get their diet right. So right. 70% of it, of how you look, is what you eat, not more. Yeah. So you got to eat right. That's podcast 178. Then I did a podcast on behavior change. So it's super important to get that mental part of this under wraps so that you can not just know what to do, but actually do it. And that seems to be an issue out there, Cheryl, with some people. And today we're talking about exercise being the third pillar of health. So let's talk about exercise, Cheryl.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So this is awesome. So I think right when you said the word exercise, like half of our crew here, half of our listeners are like, oh my gosh, yeah, I love it. I feel, and after you exercise, you do feel great, right? I mean, yeah. I don't care. I think that that's the case for anybody. If they exercise, whatever it is, they feel good afterwards, not necessarily before or during. So I think half of the people are like, yeah, I love it. Oh my gosh. And the other half are like, are you kidding me? Because I've tried it and it didn't work out, or whatever the case may be. There's 1,000 different reasons I think that we can come up with why we didn't get it done, or why we don't want to do it, or, I don't want to go into the gym, or I just, what, I'm going to lose a little weight before I go into the gym.
Yeah. Yep.
And then I'll be able to feel better about myself. Right. And I just want to be clear. That's not what it's about. It's about that everybody's on a journey, and everybody all of us have to start somewhere. And then, there's I've got a friend. And so we're talking about exercise. I'm like, you really need to start doing it. And she's like, Cheryl, I did it. And I'm like, call me when you do it. And, I'm going to be the accountability partner, check in, whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh, that is so awesome. So you exercised. And she's like, yeah. I got up from the couch and walked to the fridge. I'm like, okay, maybe I need to be a little
that counts. So in Atomic Habits, that would count.
It's a start, is it not? It is a start. It's a start. And I'm like, okay, well, you need to, but I didn't want to say, well, you need to get up and go to the fridge a lot more. Okay. Yeah. I didn't want to set that up as a habit. So I'm just like, yeah. That's awesome, right? But I just love that we can all start somewhere. Now, for me, I have always really, really, really liked exercise. I love it. I look forward to it. You know what I was thinking? This is so funny. I've thought, this is a long time ago, but I used to think, gosh, if somebody could pay me to work out for them and they'd get the benefits of whatever I did, I would be like a millionaire.
Yeah.
Because I would love to do that. And I could work out all day, and each hour would be for a different person who could pay me for them to get the results. Now, that is not the way it happens, as we know, but I thought it was a really fantastic idea.
Yeah. That's a great idea.
Yeah. And I would love that because I really do love to exercise. And I think it's just because, like I said, of the way that I feel afterwards. I feel like I've accomplished something. I feel like, I just have I think those endorphins start flowing and, all of that. And so I love to exercise, Paul. And I think, I don't know, I'm guessing that you might too. I mean, maybe even enough to wear your tank top.
Yeah. I came so prepared today that I wore my Elevate tank top because I was just like, when I heard about we're doing a podcast on working out, I'm like, well, I'm just going to continue wearing my workout clothes if we're going to do that. But there are a lot of people like us that love exercise. We live, and I worked at health clubs throughout my life. And I remember going to conferences because I actually ran health clubs. And, we would it was kind of like this joke where people would roll, and 80% of your clients you could try to like pay them money to come and they wouldn't come. Like you try to bribe people to come back in, and get healthy. And then there's that other 20% that if you close on Christmas, they will break the door down to get in. I mean, they're just like, super into it and obsessed with it. And really, it's like one or the other. I see like a 50-50 split really on this now, where, it's almost like Republicans and Democrats. It's like that split where half the people just love it and would never, never not do it. It's who they are. And then the other half is like, they get, like you said, it's just it's a painful topic. They're like, that exercise thing it's not for me.
Yeah. Well, and what I love is that we're doing this exercise right at this time of year, because what I see is in January, that gym is chock full. January 2nd, January 3rd.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, you're like, good night. I don't think I've ever seen like 3/4 of these people in the gym ever.
Don't worry, they'll be gone.
But by when? Right? Yeah. By February 14th.
Yeah. I like Valentine's Day being a date,
Yeah. Scattered. And now it's like, you guys, so I'm happy like that we're doing this right now, because it's kind of like, I think will re-energize people, because next we're going to talk a little bit about the fantastic benefits, right? Yeah. Of regular exercise. And we're going to break it up into 3. So we're going to talk about the physical benefits, the mental benefits, and the long-term health benefits. So we've got all 3 here. And I mean, just talking about these, Paul, I think will get some people at least kind of clued in to how important this really is and has become.
Yeah. I mean, the title of our podcast today is Movement Matters, Why Exercise is Non-Negotiable for Health. So we're going to make our case in this podcast here about why exercise is so important. You may have heard some of this before, but we're going to really dive into why it's so important. And you're going to see that it is non-negotiable. So everyone knows they need to do this. This isn't like something that people are like, I don't really need that. Like, especially, and I think, we're getting older. And so we realize it more, especially because now I look at my parents and I see, we're around older people. I know we're around your mom a lot. And it's important to continue to exercise, especially the strength training part of it. Because the older population, all of a sudden there comes that day or that age where you just wish you spent more time keeping that muscle tone up. And now you can't do things you could do before. And your quality of life goes back so far and you just can't do the things you want to do. So you got to do this every day and keep it up so that it doesn't start sliding backwards.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Okay, let's talk about some of these physical benefits. So it improves cardiovascular health and endurance. Now, we all know how important cardiovascular health is.
Yeah, heart disease is the number 1 killer. So we should just stop there, because that's all the reason you need, but we'll keep going.
Right. Let's talk about a couple of others. So Paul mentioned about the muscle strength, builds and maintains muscle strength. And I think this is so important as we get older. And I want to say too, that especially it's so much easier to start younger, I believe. Oh. So wherever you're at, it's super important to start now with this
never
muscle
too late.
training. Yeah. Muscle and strength training, and also mobility, Paul. I just wanted to throw that in there because I think that is super important too.
Yep.
It helps you maintain a healthy body weight. Definitely want to do that. We don't need excess fat. We know all the bad things that come from that. And then it strengthens bones and reduces the risk of osteoporosis. Super, super important. I think it's harder too if you start later in life, right? But if you just like wherever you're at, now's the time to start right now. I mean, yeah, it would have been fantastic to start 20 years ago, but we always say the second best time is to start right now, like wherever you're at, to go ahead and do that. So
this is such a big topic. I mean, we're going to talk a lot about calcium coming up in our supplements, but you want to keeping these strong bones and not having this osteoporosis is so important. I know your mom fell and her broke her hip, and my mom fell her hip or broke her ankle, and a bunch of other things. So it's strength, keeping these bones strong by strength training. It has a huge effect on the bone density. So it's so important to keep that strong.
And Paul, let's move on, because I think this next thing, like mental, Are
Yeah.
you kidding me? This is all we talk about lately
Yeah.
these days is mental health and mental wellness and the importance of that. And I think exercise plays a huge part, like a massive part in being mentally sound and feeling mentally great. And the first thing it does is it reduces stress and anxiety.
Yeah, I've heard people mention that exercise is like taking a Prozac. I think it's way better than taking a Prozac, actually, because Prozac just makes you numb and
Yeah.
numb things. You know, this actually produces great endorphins. That's the next thing we're talking about is improves mood through that endorphin release, you know, which
Yeah.
is so awesome.
Yeah, and another thing that we're talking about a lot today is the brain, right? And the importance of that, the cognitive, just what's going on inside your brain. So the cognitive function and memory, and that, and exercise enhances that.
Dementia is just, you know, Alzheimer's, all that is super relevant. So we gotta keep exercising because it's that mind body connection again that happens. Yep. And you wouldn't think that, well, if I work out, it's not going to affect, how would it affect my brain? But it does. It's super great for cognitive function.
Yeah, I love that. And then, of course, something we love to talk about, Paul, and that we think is so important and really affects so many people out there is that it really does promote better sleep.
Yeah.
Which we all need better sleep. I like to say I need more sleep, but maybe it's
you just need better sleep, Cheryl.
Maybe it's just better. Yeah. And then, of course, I really think it's important. And I like to talk a lot about this, Paul, but it really boosts self-confidence and self-esteem because you're doing something hard. You're doing something, you know, that maybe that you haven't done in the past. So it's really important to, you know, really gravitate to a goal or something that's really going to make you feel better, boost your confidence and also your self-esteem. So I love that.
Yeah. And when you look better, you just have more self-confidence and self-esteem too. So.
Oh, absolutely. And that is exactly what exercise will do. You will look better. Your skin's better. Everything, I really believe.
Everything's better.
That everything's better. Oh my gosh, that was an old commercial from years ago, wasn't it?
Was it?
Okay. Yes. I'm not even going to bring
that was before I was born, Cheryl.
It might have been. It might have been. Okay, let's talk about the long-term health benefits. So, of course, reduces the risk of chronic disease. And Paul, I have never in my life, and we've both been doing this for like 30 years, I have never seen the rise, I guess, of chronic disease like it is now. I mean, it is literally everywhere. It's like if you don't have it, then there's something wrong with you because everyone I know has got something going on, right?
Yep.
Chronic disease. And
again, it starts with the water and the food. Let's not forget about those two podcasts because those if you get those wrong, but you throw exercise in, now you're really, really reducing that chronic disease in your body. It's huge.
Yeah, it is. So it strengthens your immune system. That's obviously we found out how important that was.
I love it during COVID. First thing they do, close all the gyms. Like, are you kidding me? The number one thing for your immune system is to work out, strengthen the immune system. And they close all the gyms. It's like, these people are the dumbest people on the planet that run the country. But don't get me started.
Okay, I won't. Okay. Okay, and it increases longevity. And also, and I think because it does increase longevity, I mean, here's the whole thing. I think longevity is like one of the most important things, right? But I think longevity is so important if you have a great quality of life.
Yeah.
If you have longevity and you're spending your last 20 years in a wheelchair, not able to move and not able to do the things that you love to do, that is not going to work. That's not going to work for me. I don't think that's going to work for anybody. And so, yes, it increases longevity, but also improves overall quality of life.
Yeah.
Which I absolutely love. And then helps maintain independence as you age. Okay, Paul, I went to this class a little while ago. I thought it was so interesting. But the whole thing is it was learning how to lay on the floor and then like get up by yourself.
Uh-huh.
But as you age, that was like so important. And it was really cool. Like the way that they had you do it and you kept practicing it. It wasn't that easy actually. And I was a little shocked, right? Because I was like, oh my gosh, like you know, it used to be, you could just pop right up when you're, you know, when you're a bit younger. But I thought that was so cool that they had that, but you've got to do that and because to maintain your independence, you are going to have to be able to be ambulatory. You're going to have to be able to get up. If you fall, you'll have to be able to get up by yourself,
Yep.
and all these things. So an exercise is going to help you out with all of that.
Yeah. I know you watched that documentary on Netflix called Blue Zones as well. And one of the really memorable moments from that documentary was this woman. She was like 108, and she's never sat in a chair. So every time she sat down to watch TV, she sat on the floor. So she had her whole life had to have the strength to get up every single time. So she never lost the strength because it's all she did was sit on the floor and then make herself get up. So I thought that was super interesting, like how much chairs have affected us. I mean, they've made us lazy, basically.
Well, you know what they say? They say that the new sitting is like smoking.
Yeah.
Used to be, right? Well, and Paul, I do think that was a really great part of that movie, but of that documentary, one part that I really loved is like that 105-year-old guy doing the splits. Now, how on earth?
The flexibility, yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's what I aspire to. I love that. I thought that was so cool. All right, great. Well, let's get into talking a little bit about, okay, so let me just preface it with this. So I think what's happened in my lifetime, things have gone from one extreme to the other when it comes to working out. Like, what's right?
Yeah.
What am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to do it? Like, I used to do fitness competitions. I'd be in the gym for, 10 hours a day, trying to get that perfect look and whatever, right? And so, but now it kind of seems like it's kind of shifted. And so now there's like all of this really cool scientific information and all of these things that are really proving that there is a certain way to work out, a certain way to do it to get the most benefits. And that if you don't do it like that, then perhaps you could, fall into this whole thing of hurting yourself or not getting the results, I guess, that you want. Yeah,
boy. This is the part of the podcast that I was waiting for because I got a lot to say about this. So, we're always about RPMing things. So there's a plan. So our whole system at Elevate Your Life is plan to review. The plan. Got to get the plan to result. The result that we want is to look better, feel better, get off these medications, live longer. The result is all those things that we want to have.
Yeah. No disease.
And the reason why is clear. We listed all these different benefits and reasons why we want to stay healthy. We want to live longer and look better and be able to do things and not be sick. Yeah. So we got a great hour, the results we want. We know the purpose why. But this next part, the math, the strategy matters. And I have been Mr. Strategy my whole life. I have an undergrad in exercise physiology. I am certified by the National Strength and Conditioning Association. So I'm supposed to be this person that knows everything about this topic. And I do. But it's been piecing it all together and working with different people over the years. But I'll tell you, it's been a 30-year journey. I started working when I was 14. So I got in that habit. I love weight training. And I basically have never taken any time off from weight training or doing cardio. But I was doing it all wrong for so many years, and I just could not change the way I looked. And I was always tired. I was worn out, overtraining, and there's a lot of things I didn't understand completely. But we put it all together, Cheryl. So this next part, we get it. If you didn't get your notes, get out a pen and paper because we're going to tell you exactly the truth here and what to do because it's been an amazing, and it's just been this past 6 months that we've had this aha moment on things and made these changes, and it can happen that fast for you to get in fantastic shape.
And I want you guys, please be aware and have an open mind because when I first heard this, I was like, oh no, no, there's no way. No. You're not going to tell me that all it takes, and this is what we're going to talk about. All it takes is 30 minutes a day. Now, look, Paul, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard because more is better.
Yeah.
And if I can get in there for 3 hours and get everything put together, then that's how I'm going to look the best. That's how I'm going to feel the best. That's absolutely untrue.
Yeah.
So 30 minutes a day is all it takes. So talk to us a little bit about that because that right there is crazy.
Well, when I heard about this book, Lifting Weight or Weightlifting is a Waste of Time, I was like, what? like we're, but the guy on the front cover looks exactly how I want to look.
Shoot, yeah.
So I'm like, okay, well, I'll read it because I'm always open-minded and I want to elevate. It's just the whole thing I'm about here. So
well, if he's not lifting weights, Paul, I mean, stop it. He looks like he's lifting the heaviest weights in the gym. I mean, this guy looks fantastic.
Yeah. Not only this guy, he looks superhuman, but every single person that I met and they're all winning these major bodybuilding competitions. And they're all so proud that they've never walked into a gym. I'm like, how could all these people winning all these major bodybuilding competitions not be going to a gym? And this guy has developed the ultimate workout that I am completely obsessed about. I know you are too, Cheryl. It's called X3 training based on this X3 bar. And it's about, so I always knew going to failure was important. And I knew that time under tension was important with your muscle, but it's working this strong range. So for those of you that are watching this on YouTube, there's a point where you got the bar all the way back. First of all, when you're doing a bench press, when the bar is all the way against your chest, it's when your shoulder is at the most risk. So you're seeing all these shoulder injuries and elbow injuries and all these, if you're people who are squatting down, they're getting these knee injuries from lifting weights because they're lifting this weight in the weak zone. But once you get out to right about here, you can do 3 or 4 times the amount of weight that you can do back here. So he developed this band system that actually changes the resistance as you go out and come back. So we're doing this. It's a band that you wrap around you with a bar, and you're doing these sets where you can feel how much more resistance there is when you get out further than when you're back here. Right. It's absolutely perfect for joint health. So that's what I really love about this. First, I'm always about injury prevention first and foremost. I don't want to get injured, and I don't want anyone else to get injured. And this is I just seen working in a gym so many years, the injuries and the guys that had to take years off and have surgeries and do all this stuff because they were lifting super heavy, doing shoulder presses, bench press, squats, all these things. And lo and behold, every single one of them eventually had some sort of injury. So that's the first thing. But it's finding a way to put maximum tension on your muscle in the strongest range so that you can lift more weight. So when I'm doing this, I have more resistance against my muscles than I've ever had before because I had to use a weight that was light enough for me to come all the way down and go all the way up. So I had to use a weight based on my weakest part of the motion, which again is when it's down against your chest. So by doing this, I've been able to lift a lot heavier, and my body has just reacted to a way where it's under more intense work. It's going to failure, but it's so brief that I'm giving my body more time to recover than ever before. And it just has caused massive growth and strength in my body. I'm 52 years old, and I can honestly say, being in the Marines and working out with college athletes, I worked out with the United States cycling team that went to Barcelona. I know, so I've been through some crazy workouts throughout my life. This is the best I've looked in my entire life at 52. That's a huge statement. I mean, most people will be like, there's no way that can happen. Well, Cheryl, I know for the same way with you, like you went through this fitness competitions and you looked amazing then, but now since you've been doing this X3 and kind of changing your cardio workout too, this is the best you ever looked too.
I don't know. I liked how I looked when I did the fitness competitions.
Well, your body fat got way down and you were doing, a lot of cardio and super strict dieting.
But I will tell you this, I've never felt better. Absolutely. And I look right. I haven't looked this good in 20 years. That is absolutely true. Like ever since I had my kids and everything else, because, and then you're like, but I love this. I think it is like resistance training, and I love to lift weights, but I love the amount of time it takes. So we are going to talk about all the benefits of this X3. So I want to go through those really quick, but I just want to be clear. So it's 3 days, 30 minutes resistance training. So we're going to do the resistance training, the X3, 3 days for 30 minutes. And Paul, it doesn't even take me that long, to be honest. So that's like super
Yeah.
cool.
So we're doing different programs. Cheryl's just doing like a strength program, which I don't think it takes 10 minutes 3 times a week. I'm doing the hypertrophy program, which is about 30 minutes, at least it's a good thought, 30 minutes 3 times a week.
Right. So there's a couple of different options for the resistance training, which is super awesome. And then we want to walk 30 minutes a day. So we're going to talk about both of those things. Which Paul, the funny thing to me is like how much easier this is than not, first of all, than being confused when you walk in the gym, because that is confusing.
Yeah.
And if you haven't done it a lot, and how much, how long should I go on the treadmill? How much should I put it up? Should I put it down? Should I run? Should I walk? And I'm telling you that it's walking and it's this resistance training, and it's all in, it's what's called zone 2. So just kind of keep that in mind, in the back of your mind. Paul will explain that to you in just a few minutes. But let's talk about the benefits of this resistance training program. I mean, this is unbelievable. And I think, Paul, you already talked about a bunch of those, right? Like it doesn't hurt.
We have it all in the notes here, reduce the joint stress, only 3 days a week. It works, so when you're working these specific exercises, they're the big muscle groups. And there's this whole thing. People that go to the gym, they're like, oh, well, I got to do upper chest. I got to do incline. Then I got to do flies. Then I got to do regular bench. Then I got to do decline. Like I got to get this part of my chest hit, and then that part, and then this part of my shoulder. I'm like, oh my, they're just so clueless when it comes to lifting weights that, when you are lifting a substantial amount of weight, your body is going to bring in look how the chest muscle is only, 4 or 5 inches wide or in long. So all those fibers will be brought in just doing one exercise. You don't need to do all these 5 different exercises for your chest or shoulders, or, I got to hit my bicep from the inside and then from the outside and then the lower and oh my gosh. So misinformation out there. None of that's true. You just need to put substantial resistance against that and work that muscle to failure. And your body is going to bring more and more fibers in until you're completely exhausted and there's no strength left. And with this exercise, even when we're doing bicep curls, we go, and when we couldn't do full range anymore, we do partials at the bottom. And when I say we reach failure at the end, I mean, there's tears coming out of my eyes. It is absolute failure. But it's only, so I'm doing 5 sets of that for the hypertrophy program, but that's it. And then I'm done. And it is brutal. But it's all based on however hard you push yourself on this. So you can take it with any level you want to. But for any guys out there that are like, is this seriously going to make me look good and get me stronger? And I'm like, yeah, you do it right. And there's nothing in the world that can compare to this. I promise you, because I've done it all and then some. And I got, tons of guy friends that are in the gym all the time too. So, and I'm just well connected in the industry. This is absolutely the way to do it. Yeah,
absolutely. It doesn't take that much time. And then also you just do it 3 days a week, right, Paul? And you do chest and back together, superset, tricep and bicep superset, and then legs. So talk to us just for a second about the superset. I think you did a little bit, but we didn't say superset. So I just want.
Yeah. So it's chest. So it's a push exercise. And then I'll bend over and I'll do the rows with the band. And so I'm doing chest, back, and then I wait 2 minutes. So I'll do a set of chest, then immediately do a set of back rows, and then take 2 minutes off and then do it again.
Okay.
So it's super quick. Same thing with tries and bis. I do tries, push downs, bicep curls, and then 2 minutes off. And then do it again. So that's a supersets when you're just doing 2 exercises back to back. And it's opposite muscle groups. So one's always a push and one's a pull. So your cardiovascular system really isn't that taxed. So you're able to do that. But the reason why you can do a superset here is because you're always working one push and one pull. So the muscles aren't tired from the other exercise.
Right. Oh my gosh. Okay. That's awesome. Okay. Let's talk for a minute about walking, because that is the next one. And
this might even be bigger than the weight training change that I made, because Canceling my gym membership was huge. I went to a gym again, like for 30 some years, since I was 14. So to walk into Gold's and cancel my membership was a big moment in my life. I never thought I would ever do that, but this might be even bigger, Cheryl, because I'm Mr. Peloton. I got to win every bike race. I got to win every, 3 or 5K in my area. Like I'm the guy that, I'm in Marines. It's like, go hard or go home.
Right.
And I would go hard with this cardio all the time. And like, well, I'm not losing body fat, so I got to go harder.
Right.
And I would just, I was actually hurting myself way more than helping.
Right. And you weren't seeing the results you wanted. And I definitely was not either. And the biggest reason, let's talk about some of the things that happen when we go out there and try to kill ourselves every day with this long distance running. I'm like, I've got to run 5 miles. I've got to run 5 miles. I was like,
yeah, what's your mile rate? Pace. I got to get down, And...
Yeah, exactly. And the thing is that it really affects the cortisol levels in your body. So the stress that it's putting on your body is doing more harm to you than that running or that Peloton or whatever it is.
It's breaking all my muscle down, which is the exact opposite of what I wanted to do, which was build it up.
Exactly. And it also, it's crazy because it disrupts your healthy sleep patterns. It weakens your immune system. Well, how crazy is that? Right. I'd work out and 4 days later, I'd be like, oh, I don't feel very good.
Yeah. I'm exercising all the time. Exercise is supposed to be good for your immune system. Why am I so sick?
Yeah, that's right. And it can contribute to weight gain. And especially around the midsection. Now that's crazy.
And that was what was happening to me. I could not lose weight at all. It was driving me insane.
Yeah. Yep, that's absolutely right. And then of course your hormones are
kills your testosterone, kills your growth hormone, kills your thyroid. So I got low testosterone, growth hormone, and thyroid levels. Oh, super, Paul. You're gonna go far in life with that.
Yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. Congratulations. But my goodness, you're looking good on that Peloton. Okay. You're winning. You won your class.
Yeah. Good job, Paul.
Right. All of us think like this though, right? Increases inflammation throughout the body. Creates
more
excessive
inflammation
oxidative stress. That is the last thing any of us need is oxidative stress, right? Higher risk of overuse injuries. Of course you're going to have overuse injuries. And then it can lead to chronic joint problems.
No, I had my right knee, I was battling that for 4 or 5 years. It just killed me all the time.
Yeah. And then of course, a longer recovery time, increased risk of overtraining syndrome, and then the higher likelihood of hitting training plateaus. Of course, all of those. Absolutely. So it's just so important to make sure that you understand. And look, don't say, well, you know what? I don't know about you guys, but I'm not sure that this sounds right. So I think I'll run 2 days a week and walk 2 days a week. No, I promise you. And maybe you will have to do that to come to the realization of how important this walking is and keeping it in zone 2. So Paul, talk to us a little bit about that. And the way
I heard a podcast. I don't want to say her name is Charlene, but
it is Charlene.
Okay. So she is the woman, she's blonde. She was in 80% of all the Beachbody videos.
Yep.
So if you saw a Beachbody fitness video, she was in it. Yeah. She made this podcast recently that said if she could, she would go and burn them all because she feels so bad about telling people the wrong information for her whole life. And, she was working out. She would tell people, oh, you just need to work out a little bit. She was working out 5 hours a day, killing herself to look like that. But she was always producing so much cortisol, so, so bad. She had all these health problems. And when she's, and I hated people that said, well, less is more. No, it's not. It's not true in anything. Less is not more. More is more. Okay. But she would see the same way. She's like, there's no way that walking's better for you than all this cardio that I'm doing. I'm teaching these classes. It's supposed to be the best training in the world. And she gave up all of that and then just went to walking. And she said, my whole life changed. I feel amazing. She said it was
hard though. Super hard. And that it didn't happen all of a sudden. And she just kept saying, no, that
she was literally addicted to that, to the high, you get that runner's high thing, and
fighting against everything you've been taught your whole life is not easy.
No. Right? Me too. I was like I said, canceling my gym membership, giving up my Peloton, like all these things that were staples in my life were the things that were killing me. It's almost like that whole, we put the suntan lotion on to protect ourselves from the sun because we think the sun's killing us, but it's not the sun that's killing us. It's the suntan lotion that's killing us.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the same thing where it was the gym membership and the Peloton membership that was causing all the harm and causing me not to get any success or results.
Right.
So once I gave that up and started walking, we put a chart here in the notes, about this sweet spot. And you hear about the sweet spot. I'm like, take your sweet spot and shove it because you should go harder. So I was always training at 155, 160, 165, like super high. And I was burning all carbohydrates, never burning any fat, breaking down muscle. But once I started walking at like 135, the fat just fell off. It's almost, to this day, I still don't believe it 100% because I can't believe how doing so little made such a huge impact on how I looked and felt. But yeah, less is more.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's still, I know, and it's still hard for me to really believe that. So really it's all about that resistance training, and about just go out for a walk. And I love this anyway, because getting into nature, if you can, is just so great for your mental health also. So I just absolutely love that.
Yeah. So Sharon and I, we're talking about more about this when we get into supplements, but we do this 30-30-30 program. So within 30 minutes of waking up, we have 30 grams of protein. So we're super conscious about our muscle and preserving that. So we have 30 grams of amino acids to be specific. And then we do a 30-minute workout. So it can be your 30-minute with X3 or it could be your 30-minute walk. And just from doing that, we have transformed our physiques, and not just us, but we have so many clients doing this. And this 30-30-30 program is actually from Tim Ferriss's book, The 4-Hour Body. So we give him proper credit for this. But I didn't believe it at first, but when I started doing it and then getting my heart rate always to be at 135. So whether I'm doing X3 or walking, I'm always around that 135-ish number with my heart rate. And yeah, Cheryl, I feel absolutely phenomenal. Look the best I ever have just from switching my weight workout, switching my cardio workout. But I am doing it 7 days a week, 30 minutes, 7 days a week.
Yeah, but 30 minutes is so much different than 2.5 hours. It's like just...
Well, we want to keep moving all day. So with the 30-minute, let's just say the 30-minute walk you're going to walk maybe 4,000 steps, 3,500, 4,000, somewhere in that ballpark. You want to keep moving all day. So we both have standing desks. So at least we're not sitting anymore. We're standing, but that's still not great. You want to keep moving. So we take breaks. We walk around. It's so important to all day long get more and more steps in. Even after you go eat something, go take a little walk, even if it's to the mailbox and back or around the block or something, take another small walk and just build these small walks. If you go someplace, don't park in the front parking spot, park a little further away and get those extra steps in, because every single thing matters. In you add these things together over time and they make a huge difference. So it's just moving matters.
Yeah, absolutely. And this has just been so great. And just, you guys remember that there's 5 pillars to physical health, right? Now we've talked about water so far. We've talked about food and how important both of those are. And now exercise. Oh my gosh. So there's the 3 so far that we've talked about. And then Paul, what's coming up next?
Well, the big one's next. Okay. So we just talked up exercise to the moon, how important it is. You got to have it. But what you're going to learn next is that exercise without supplementation is suicide. So, wait a second. Wait. I thought exercise is so good for you. Well, it produces a lot of free radicals. So we have to fight these free radicals. Exercise is still good for you. It's mandatory. But you got to have enough supplements in your system to keep you healthy. And we're going to spend like the next 15 weeks or so talking about supplements, because there's so much misinformation in this industry too about what's important, what's not important. And, everyone's selling something out there. So we want to set the record straight for all of our listeners who want to know the truth about supplements and what you need, what you don't need, and what is going to make a difference depending on your problems. So we're actually going to talk about different health problems people are experiencing in their lives and which supplements would make the biggest impact on those problems.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So exciting, Paul. That is going to be absolutely awesome. And I'm really looking forward to that because I think bringing those two things together, exercise and supplementation, I think has made like one of the biggest differences in my life. And I know can get people to a place where they just feel, so much better than they have in recent years.
Yeah.
If not longer. So, well, you guys, it's been such a pleasure spending time with you today. Stay committed and stay consistent. And remember that you have the power to elevate your life and the lives of those around you. We can't wait to see you next time.